Good morning to everyone. Welcome and thank you for registering to this webinar today, organized by the ICLEI World Secretariat for ICLEI regional offices. The webinar will be introducing and explaining the TAP, the Transformative Actions Program. I am Annabelle Roblin, Junior Officer at the World Secretariat. I am working on project development regarding the TAP and COP21, where ICLEI and partners are organizing a pavilion. And so I will moderate this webinar today together with Agathe Cavicchioli, Junior Project Officer in the Low Carbon Cities team, also here at the World Secretariat. So Agathe, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Sure, thank you very much, Annabelle. As Annabelle said, I'm a Junior Project Officer here at the Low Carbon Cities team, and I contributed to the TAP project by helping with in the design of the application form, which I will later present to you.
Thank you, Agathe. So Louisa Weiss from the Knowledge Management team is also here to support us regarding technical matters. So back to you, Louisa.
Yes, welcome all to this webinar. I will just give a very brief technical introduction for those who are not familiar with the system and our webinar procedures. You as attendees will be muted throughout the webinar. You will hear two presentations first. If you want to pose questions to these presentations, please do so by typing your questions in the question box you should see in your webinar interface in front of you. We will then, during the question and answer session, be very happy to answer these questions to you, and if necessary, also unmute you in order to have a conversation with you. For any technical problems, please also type your questions into the question box. I will be happy to help you as far as I can from remote. So this is it for me, and I hope you enjoy this webinar with us.
Thank you, Louisa. So let's get started then. So here is the outline of our webinar today, which will last approximately an hour. We first of all a 20 to 25-minute presentation, which will take you through the TAP, introducing and explaining first the concept and its meaning for ICLEI's work and strategy, the contents of the program, that is the 4 pillars of the TAP, and then some general information on the TAP 2015 application and selection process, that is the selection of TAP projects in the run-up to COP21 next December. So this will include some information on the timeline of the process, some information on the selection criteria as well, and on the application form, and finally some information on the selection process. So afterwards, as Louisa said, you will be able to ask your questions and we will address them. So also note that as a complement to this webinar, we will send you afterwards a link to a presentation by Yunus Arikan, the Head of Global Policy and Advocacy at ICLEI World Secretariat. And this presentation will give you some more background information on the international climate negotiations process and COP21. So first of all, what is the TAP? The TAP is a 10-year program which key purpose is to accelerate implementation of climate actions of local and subnational governments, both in the pre-2020 and the post-2020 period. And it will also seek to raise the level of ambition at all levels, local and subnational, national, and of course international levels. So to be more specific, the TAP will seek to improve access to existing capital flows, but also additional capital flows for cities and regions and from public and private investors. So the TAP thus has 2 missions. One is political and one, you could say, is more the climate mission of the TAP. So on the political level, the aim of the TAP is to actively advocate for better and quicker access to larger amounts of climate finance for cities and regions. Why? Because this is in cities and regions where climate change can be tackled effectively, and also because effective climate action at all levels of government has become urgent. As we know, cities and regions are faced with climate change challenges, but also urbanization. And so through the TAP, local governments and their networks will pursue and intensify their efforts to bridge the gap between negotiations and the implementation process by putting forward proposals of transformative actions. This leads us to the climate mission of the TAP. That is that the TAP will aim to assist the pre-brokering between subnational authorities and financing bodies, where possible, and to mobilize cities and regions to design transformative and bankable climate action. So as you can see on the graph, to achieve these two missions, the TAP will rely on two processes. So first, a process of mobilization of key actors at local and subnational level, but also national and international levels. And also the second process is a process of visibilization, that is showcasing the climate actions already being implemented at the local and subnational levels, and also the potential at the local level. So this will be achieved through already existing tools, that is reporting platforms, as you can see. And also TAP will have its own tools, that is a TAP platform, which will serve as an online registry of climate ambition, you could say, and also a TAP pavilion at the COPs. So the TAP will guide ICLEI's work with and for cities over the next 5 to 10 years. And so for regional offices, it also means that they will be able to connect, you will be able to connect better with the cities to funding opportunities. So as such, the TAP will really contribute to ICLEI's political agenda towards and beyond COP21. Turning to the content of the program, so here you can see the 4 action pillars of the TAP. So first of all, the TAP project pipeline is the process by which every year up to 100 TAP projects are selected in the run-up to the annual COP and presented during the COP. So this will start this year at the COP21 in Paris in November, December. And so during this process, cities and regions are first actively mobilized to apply to TAP and then supported in their application, both by the TAP team here at the World Secretariat, but also ideally by regional offices, by providing webinars, for example, in relevant languages for applicants. For example, this webinar should give you some tools already, and also translations, as we will see later on. So as you can see, this stage pillar is already underway, as applications for the TAP have started on the 5th of May. And so the first deadline for project submission is on the 15th of June, where the selection will begin. Turning to the TAP platform, so then all projects submitted by cities and regions will be featured on this online platform, which is on the TAP website, the current TAP website, before the COP. And so this platform will centralize projects, make them more visible, and enable financing institutions to have access to relevant information about them so that they can consider financing. Turning to the TAP Pavilion, so as I said, the TAP Pavilion will be the physical component of the program. That is, it will be the space where the selected TAP projects will be presented to national delegations, international donors, financing agencies during the COP. And so the first pavilion will be at COP21. Finally, the TAP advocacy for accelerated climate action will build on previous achievements in local climate advocacy and will diversify and strengthen it through several ways. So, for example, it will raise awareness of the potential of transformative climate action. It will seek to deepen the dialogue with national governments so it will seek to enhance vertical integration in that respect, and it will also seek to reinforce the engagement with international and national funding bodies and development agencies. So you could say that the TAP advocacy work will create this essential interaction nexus with all levels of government and also engage with financing and funding bodies. So turning to the general timeline of the project leading to the TAP 2015 Pavilion. So as I said before, the application started early May through the offline form, and so the online application form will be online on the 2nd of June. And so the idea would be to take advantage of the launch of the online form to also release the form and the website in several languages too. So the World Secretariat is responsible for French and English translations, and so as you may already be aware, the involvement of regional offices in the translation of the form and of the TAP material would be really key to the success of the mobilization effort for the TAP. We have the advantage here at ICLEI to have a multilingual staff, and so we should be able to, draw on this potential. So yes, and so next month also, the World Secretariat will, and so also regional offices, when and where possible, will hopefully facilitate webinars for cities and partners. You can see also from the timeline that there are 3 deadlines for TAP applications. So the 15th of June, the 15th of July, and the 15th of August. In June, July also the project selection panel will start to be established, and so there again regional offices will be invited to appoint an internal or external regional expert to be part of the selection panel. So in August, September, the selection process will start per se, and in October applicants will be notified, and so that's also when the online platform will be activated in preparation for the COP. And finally, the 100 projects will be presented at COP21. So what is a TAP project? Then I will show you a definition of what we mean by TAP project. So there are 2 types of project actually. They differ by the stage they have reached, that is, so we have fast-track transformers on the one hand and post-2020 transformers on the other hand. Regarding the stage of the project, so they are either already fully designed, they have a clear budget and action plan, so this is for fast-track transformers, or they only have the concepts for post-2020 transformers. In terms of needs identified, so in terms of enabling the implementation of the project, either they need only funding, or they also require additional advice, expertise in terms of capacity building, strategy development, etc. And so considering these 2 points, when we also look like the implementation period, that is when the project would be ready for implementation, so either in the pre-2020 period or in the post-2020 period. So this is for the 2 types of TAP projects. Now, turning to the selection criteria per se, so regarding the overall selection and distribution of projects, 5 criteria will be taken into account. So first, the level of transformative potential that we will see in the next slide. The regional balance, that is, make sure that the projects are distributed fairly equally between the north and the south. A balance of mitigation and adaptation projects, a sectorial balance between, transport, energy, biodiversity, etc. And finally, transparency, how informed the different applications are. Turning to the criteria for TAP projects, so individual TAP projects, these are the criteria that we will look for. So regarding the ambitious, so the key aspect is that the project should have the potential to transform society. So what this means to us is that the project should be ambitious, cross-cutting, and inclusive. So regarding the ambitious aspects, projects can be either first-time projects that will benefit a large proportion of the population, or existing projects that will be scaled up and then benefits even more to the population. Regarding the cross-cutting criteria, we will look at how different communities will benefit from the project, how different types of resources will benefit in terms of management, that is sustainable energy, quality, land use, etc., and how the project will contribute to other subnational, national, and global sustainability goals. And finally, regarding the inclusiveness of the projects, we will look at how the project encourages cross-departmental coordination for effective implementation, how and if the citizens are actively engaged, how the project fosters collaboration with other levels of government, and finally, if the private sector and how is it engaged in the project. So now we will turn to the TAP application form. So I will now hand over the presentation to Agathe, who will tell you more about the form and how to access it and submit it on the TAP website. So Agathe.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. I believe you can now share my screen. And I believe now everybody should be able to see my screen. Here we go. So as Annabelle was saying, the applicants will be able to submit their application to the TAP program both online and offline. However, at the moment, the online application procedure is not available. It will be starting on June 2nd. For now, applicants must submit an offline application, which they can download from the website in the Apply section, right here. There, as you can see, there are 3 tabs. The first one allows you to download the application form, which is an Excel spreadsheet. The second tab is for submitting the application form once it has been completed. And finally, the third tab provides general information on the application process. Now, I've already downloaded the file, the offline application form, and I will walk you through it. Now, be aware that it might look like an extensive form, but it has been designed to minimize the workload of the applicant and yet to provide as comprehensive information as possible on the applicant and on its transformative project. One way of doing that, for example, has been to require that some fields are mandatory for the application, while others are not mandatory. However, we stress that the most comprehensive applications will be better. Now, here is the first tab of the offline application form. It's a simple README tab with instructions on how to fill in the following application. You should be aware that this first tab refers to the procedure after submission of the offline application form, namely that applicants who have submitted an offline application will nevertheless be given online login details, and the content of their offline application will be uploaded online for them to view them on the online platform. But as we said, this is not live yet, so we don't have to worry about it as of now. This first tab also indicates that the form will be available in several languages. As Annabelle said, this is not available right now either, but on this subject we would like to engage with the ROs in the future, because while some single choice questions can be automatically translated in our system, the descriptive questions requiring descriptive answers will need translation. Moving on to the next tab. This is a straightforward registration tab requiring information on the applicant, including contact details. The next tab is probably the most important one in the application. It is called the TAP overview, and it captures the transformative potential of the local government's projects on the three key criteria of our transformative actions program, which is that the project is ambitious, cross-cutting, and inclusive. You will note that starting from this tab and throughout the rest of the application, some questions have drop-down answers, like the first one here. As you can see by clicking there, you have the option to choose 2 answers to this question, and a brief definition is provided on the side to help the applicant make its choice. Other fields, however, are descriptive and will require the applicant to type in their answer, as you can see on my screen. Moving on to the next tab, this is the Applicant Profile, and this requires background and contextual information on the applicant. Such information comprises information about the government, about the socioeconomic and financial background of the applicant, as well as information on its climate ambition. And most importantly, sectoral information. Here, we invite our applicants to fill in the information on the sectors relevant to their project. As you can see, there is a long list of sectors, and this is quite extensive information. This is why none of these fields are required, but as I said previously, the more fields that the applicant can fill out, the better their chances of being selected in the selection process. I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that some fields are required, so we really invite the applicants to look carefully and scroll down to the very bottom of each tab to see which fields are required. There is also an indication here on the number of mandatory fields. Moving on to the next tab. This is the project profile, and this has the core and most detailed information on the project. A lot of these fields are descriptive. First of all, we will ask the applicant some general project information. Then come several descriptive fields about the project concept, some management information, and information on the transformative potential of the project. This section reflects the TAP Overview tab, which I previously presented, except that it goes into more details and more depth on the transformative potential of the project. Notably, it requires information on the co-benefits that the project can yield, as well as the climate potential of the project, both in terms of mitigation and adaptation potential. Finally, at the bottom of this tab, we also require applicants to give us information on the financial and the technical feasibility of the projects, as well as to upload any relevant supporting document. You will note that these fields are required by this little asterisk. This also means that uploading the document is required. I will later on show you how to upload documents. Finally, this is the last tab of the application form, and it is non-mandatory for the application. However, it is interesting to fill out if the applicant has a city council or another relevant government body decision that sets a climate target, in which case the applicant is invited to report it here to show how the transformative action project it is submitting is helping to achieve this target, or to show how the commitment itself is transformative. Once completed, the application form must be uploaded on the website, as I showed you in this Step 2 Submit tab of the TAP website. Here, the applicant will have to fill in some basic contact information. Then we'll have to upload the application form using this button here, as well as zip any required documents and upload them here as well. In the future, this procedure for submitting required documents may change, and applicants may be able to submit their documents once they've been given credentials to log in on the online platform. But further information will be sent on this matter in the future. Finally, we're hoping to establish a help desk session on the website where applicants may be able to ask questions, and both the TAP team at the World Secretariat and the ROs will be able to answer them. This is it for the offline application process, and I'm handing it back to you, Annabelle.
Thank you, Agathe. So back to the selection process per se. So please note so that the selection process and the composition of the selection panel is still being discussed, defined at the moment. So, however, we have defined some principles already. For example, the fact that each partner, and by partner of the TAP, I mean local government organizations, of course, financing institutions, civil society, NGOs, etc. So each partner will appoint a representative that will sit in the selection panel, but also an expert that will sit in an expert committee. And so the expert committee will give recommendations to the project selection panel. So the composition of both bodies will be announced at the latest on August 15th, 2015. So as I said, guidelines are still being developed regarding the selection process per se, and will be shared with regional offices and partners in due course. And so another principle that we have agreed on for now is that the process should be based on a consensus-seeking approach. That is that there wouldn't be like strict voting system whereby a majority will win per se, but rather we would look for a general agreement on what projects should be labeled as a TAP project. So this is it for today. Thank you for your attention. We will now turn to a question and answer session. So you will be unmuted from now on so that we can interact. I mean, if you want to ask a question. So let's start. Can you? Okay.
So we currently have no questions
that
have been posed during the presentations, but maybe one of the colleagues would like to start a discussion with us. So then please raise your hand if you want to pose a question now. There is Michael from the World Secretariat. Michael, please go ahead.
I'm just wondering if there's a minimum threshold of projects that we're going to look for. I mean, 100 being, of course, the maximum, but if we're being quite discretionary, what's the minimum to actually make the project worthwhile going ahead with?
We haven't really decided on a minimum amount of projects. The principle is that we will see as we go along. So yes, we have set up a maximum because also regarding the feasibility in the pavilion, but regarding a minimum threshold, no, we haven't thought about this in this way. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a pessimistic person by nature. So of course, I mean, with COP21 coming up, we'd of course want as many as possible. But as the application goes on, projects that might have looked unacceptable through the first round of applications all of a sudden might look acceptable if you're looking to populate the pavilion. So I just think about having a contingency and plan for that, in place for that. But but better to be optimistic than pessimistic. So.
Yes. Yeah, as I said, the idea is really to see how it goes, and yeah, hopefully we'll have well, the 100 projects is really the best. I mean, we could have, but yeah. Yes.
Is it possible to, or are we looking at soliciting cities for existing projects that we've identified as being suitable for the pavilion?
Yes, we are certainly reaching out to some cities whom we know we are already having projects, so already being implemented. So yes, these cities whom we know that have potential, transformative actions projects, then yes, we reach out to them at the moment. We are trying to reach out to them.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for this interesting question. We will go on to Lucy, who also has a question for us.
Hi, morning. We've spoken quite a bit to our partners who are really looking forward to synergizing TAP with additional ongoing ICLEI activities, for instance, the Earth Hour City Challenge. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see a link in the reporting form or reference to linking this to the CCR. I was wondering if that's planned or what's the status with that?
Yes, so Agathe, would you like to?
Sure, I'm happy to answer this. And actually, this is something that I wanted to add. I went through the application form rather quickly to stay within time, but I'm happy to add that, of course, and as some of you have seen, a lot of the content in the TAP application form mimics the sort of information that we're collecting for CCR. And in fact, we are exploring a way of giving our applicants the opportunity to maybe check a button or an option on through their application process, so that the content of the information that they're submitting as part of the Transformative Actions program can also be reported to the CCR. Making them thus reporting entities to the CCR as well as TAP applicants. And in this way, obviously, synergies can be explored with the Earth Hour City Challenge, and to an extent, maybe also the Compact of Mayors. These are definitely options that we are considering and that we should be brainstorming internally. So any suggestions as to this actually are more than welcome, and will only help to make not only this application stronger, but also support other global initiatives that we have at ICLEI. So that's a great point, and it's something that we are investigating. Does that answer your question, Lucy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much also to you, Lucy. We have another question from Olga. Annabelle.
Yes?
Maybe we can unmute Olga. She typed us the question, but maybe she can just... Olga?
Sure.
Would you like to pose your question to us, please? Thanks.
Yeah. So I was wondering if there's already a funding mechanism in place, especially looking at, well, thinking about all the data that has to be entered and all the information that has to be gathered. Are there already any financial mechanisms in place so that cities feel that, oh, there is actually something that we can already apply for, sort of a, I don't know, like a fund that has already been allocated, or is it for now purely gathering information on projects and then after that seeing, oh, how can we help them with getting funding?
Yes, so on this point, we are also still in the process of defining how we should reach out to financing institutions. And so, yeah, we don't have, we haven't identified yet funding mechanisms, but the idea would be to map out for applicants how to say, to map out the climate finance opportunities and obstacles, also regionally speaking. That is, to be able to compile a comprehensive overview of the regional climate finance landscape. So this we will try to do from July onwards. And so we will also love to cooperate, like to regional offices to be involved in this process, and to yes, to support this mapping of climate finance opportunities in their region. Yes, so that's the state of the process at the moment.
So do I understand correctly that so for now the TAP it's mainly it's supposed to be a compilation of different projects that we then as ICLEI would market to potential financiers, or what would be sort of the added value to the cities, or how would they exactly benefit? Because I mean, in the end, it's all about implementation. Yeah, if you could elaborate on that.
Yes, I mean, the way they would benefit is because obviously the TAP process, the online platform, and the pavilion will enhance the visibility of their project. So that's the main key point, I would say. And so yeah, the ability to offer them this space at the pavilion. And so, of course, at the pavilion, we would also make sure that we facilitate the dialogues with financing partners. So yes, this is the key point, the key advantage for cities.
So would that mainly happen during the COPs, and then after the COP, would there also be a way of trying to link or trying to market it to financial organizations afterwards, or would this visibility mainly be created at the conference of the parties?
So there are the two options are there. I mean, so once the cities and regions have submitted their project to the TAP, there will be automatically events if they are not labeled as TAP project per se. They will be, as in selected as a TAP project. They will still be able to show an outline of their project on the online platform, and so this will last. This will be on the platform, not only through the COP, but also afterwards throughout the duration of the TAP project. And so in this respect also, if, for example, so now I will be talking about projects that have been labeled as TAP projects. If, for example, they have been selected as post-2020 transformers, it may be that the next year, well, the project has evolved in such a way that it can be now classified as a fast-track transformer, and so in the online platform, it will be shown as such. So what I'm trying to say is that it's long-term visibility, and that will not only be like that will not only be the case at the pavilion. So that's what I'm trying to say. So a long-term visibility. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Olga, for your question and the discussion. I think we currently have no further questions. Oh, yes, there is one. Catherine. Catherine, go ahead. Catherine, can you hear us? Catherine is a colleague from Southeast Asia, I believe. Maybe.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Wonderful. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hi, this is Catherine from ICLEI Southeast Asia Secretariat, and I was just wondering, one local government would submit one Excel file, is that right? And that would include one project proposal. So my question is, would it be possible for one local government to submit two or more proposals in one Excel file?
Hi. In one Excel file, Agathe, I don't know what you think, but I think it will be a bit complicated to have two projects compiled in the same Excel file. I mean, we haven't really decided on this yet, but it seems a bit difficult to me. Agathe, so maybe you could say something about this?
Yes, absolutely. I think that applicants will be working on several projects, but I believe that both for processing applications as well as for screening and reviewing them, they will need to submit several applications. Luckily, some of the tabs, as I showed you, will be similar if they are submitted by the same applicant, notably the registration tab, the applicant profile, and the government commitment tabs will be the same and will not require additional work. But when it comes to the tab overview on the performative potential of a project and the project profile, I do believe we will require applicants to submit a separate sheet, simply because the content of this information will be completely different from project to project.
Okay, got it. So one application would be equivalent to one Excel file?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Catherine, also for this very good question. I think that was interesting for everyone. I currently don't see any other raised hands. And also no new questions in our little question box. So, Annabelle, I hand over to you for the final words.
Okay, thank you very much, Louisa. Thank you very much for participating. So as a reminder, just to remind that as a complement to this webinar, I will send you a link after the webinar, so with a presentation from Yunus Arikan about the international climate negotiations process in COP21. I would also like to, specifically for regional offices, to remind you of the fact that we would really much like that you give us some feedback on the proposal of a strategy for decentralized mobilizations for the TAP that you may already be aware of, and hopefully the next step would be for you, if when possible, to appoint a TAP liaison that will coordinate with Marie-Sophie Beyer, COP21 coordinator here at the Weiss Secretariat, so that we can really get the process started, that is the mobilization process started. Yes, so if you have any specific question about this coordination process, please contact Marie-Sophie Beyer so for any specific question on this matter. And so, yeah, we will also, of course, be happy to answer any further questions that you may have after this presentation. And so, yes, thank you very much for participating, and thank you for your help and support in the TAP process. And we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Annabelle?
Yes?
Annabelle, sorry if I just may ask, I also invite all of our colleagues to go on the TAP website and if they so wish or have the time to play around with the application form to familiarize with the kind of questions that are required of future applicants or to note any kinks or problems in the form that we may have overlooked. I think it's always good to receive feedback from people, and we're obviously more than happy to answer questions. Should any of the sections of the application form be unclear, since we will all be actively engaged in supporting applicants, especially if we create this help desk section. I think it's important that we are all in good understanding of exactly what the application form entails.
Yes.
That is all.
Thank you, Agathe. Thank you very much. So, yeah.
All right. Also, thank you from my side. Thanks for listening to this webinar. And yeah, I hope to see you soon for another ICLEI World Secretariat webinar.